Because Jesus has called us to be difference makers. Jesus was a difference maker when he was on the earth. Everywhere he went, crazy things happened. And he didn't try to make them happen.
And I thought, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this stone to make it a smooth stone. This one's closer. It's got less sharp edges. And this one has a few. But I was thinking, what's it going to take to get this to a smooth place? It's going to take the water running over it and it hitting these other rocks and chipping off the rough edges. And most of the time when we're in a place where we're hitting these other rocks, we're blaming these other rocks. And these rocks had nothing to do with the circumstances that we were in or are in to remove those rough edges off of us. But we want to blame the other rocks. But in essence, this rock is being conditioned by the water. And the water running over it. And the sharper the edges, the more this rock is going to tumble and come into contact with other rocks. These other rocks have been conditioned more, but there's still some rough edges on it. And Jesus spoke in parables, and he gives me life lessons, like parable type lessons. And a thought also occurred to me that when David came to the brook, he found 5 smooth stones. These stones had conditioning. They had time, and all the rough edges that would keep it from sailing through the air had come off of it. It had taken whatever water was flowing over it. But if you will put this in our everyday vernacular, we are these stones. We're in different conditions. And the more stuff we're into, the more failings we have. Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's pornography. The rougher we are. And God doesn't instantly say, you got to have all those off of you right now, right today. There's a conditioning that happens, and you're going to hit other rocks, and you're going to chip off those edges until you're a smooth stone ready to hit the target every time, because David picked up a smooth stone to hit Goliath in the head. And I know he had supernatural power behind that, because the only place that he did not have his armor was in the middle of his head, and it sunk in. And then David took the sword that he had been trained with and took off Goliath's head. So what God was showing me is, if you're in this condition, just give it time. You'll get in this condition. But it takes time. It takes submitting to him. And, okay, you failed. Go around that mountain again. God gives you chance after chance after chance. As long as you're saying, God, I failed. Gordon, he knows. He knows. He's been sober, you said 22 months? 22 months. He's been sober 22 months.
Man.
But it's taken a lot of water running over him and him hitting these other rocks and taking those edges off of him to get him to where he's at. And I love that he's out there saying, I made it, you can too. And if you want to talk to somebody, Jeremy, he has lived it. I haven't. He has. He's a good example of someone you can talk to that can help bring some rough edges off of you. But remember, it's not the people that you're hitting, it's the water and the season and the condition. The higher the water is, the more the flow, the more round and round, especially when you have rough edges. When you have rough edges, you're going to tumble more. You're going to be in that water, going around and around and over and under, and you're going to hit these other rocks that hopefully they've been through it enough that they don't take it personally. That they're in a place of grace, that they say, it's just, I'm just further down the road than they are. God gave me
with the nail on the head, didn't you?
This is what
I don't know how you did it, but you did it.
God knows how to speak to all of us, even with rocks. One time, I was telling an analogy to a friend, and I was taking a trip, and I was going to California. And I stopped at this rest stop, and I stopped at this restaurant. And this restaurant, I got a bellyache from eating there. And I went on, and I knew which gas station to stop at. And then my friend was coming after me. I told him, I said, I went this route, there's road construction here, so you might want to go around that. You might want to avoid this restaurant. And you might want to stop here for the night. And how did I know? How did I know? Because of my experience. Gordon has experienced it firsthand for himself, so he knows. But if my friend ignored what I said and went the route that had the road construction and then complained about that, he got all the advice that I could give him because of my experience. We can choose to go down the same road, or we can choose to take the bypass around the construction, or eat at the restaurants that was recommended, or eat at the restaurants that wasn't. Our choice.
Maybe it's not our time yet. You never know.
But
the time of the road, the time of the path.
But the only reason that I knew which way to go and what to avoid is because I'd been there before that. And Gordon is a good example of somebody that's been there before him, and you can listen or not listen. The journey can be made easier by listening to his own experience. But that's all I've got. Have mercy upon those that are in a rough condition compared to the smooth one.
Hey, the smooth one needs a little 10 or 11